The chamber of the Galactic Council was older than most recorded history. Its walls curved like the inside of a shell, made from dark metal that absorbed light instead of reflecting it. Soft glows floated in the air, changing color to match the species that spoke. The room was never silent, yet it was never loud. Every sound was controlled, filtered, and shaped by ancient systems that had not been redesigned in thousands of years. Ambassador Day stood at the human seat and waited. The human seat was far from the center. It was placed on the outer ring, where newer species were assigned positions. The closer a seat was to the center, the older and more powerful the species was believed to be. No one had said this rule out loud in centuries, but everyone followed it. Day kept his hands folded behind his back. His posture was straight, calm, and patient. He had learned that stillness made others uneasy. Many species mistook human quiet for weakness, and Day allowed that mistake to live. Behind him, Hannah sat at the advisory station. She wore a simple uniform, free of medals or marks. Her role was technical, not political, but she understood the room better than most politicians ever could. Her eyes moved across displays, scanning data that few others bothered to read. She noticed the slow refresh rates of council systems, the outdated energy flow patterns, the way the chamber's core processor lagged when too many delegates spoke at once. This place was old. Not just in years, but in thinking. A tall being with a glass-like body was speaking at the center podium. Its voice came out as layered tones, translated into clear words by the chamber's systems. The proposal is denied, the being said. It conflicts with established balance. Day knew the words before they were translated. He had heard them many times. The proposal had been simple. Humanity had requested shared patrol rights along a developing trade route. Human ships had already mapped the region, protected minor settlements, and stopped 3 pirate raids. Still, the request was denied. Balance, the council called it. Day glanced at the surrounding seats. Some delegates watched him with mild interest. Others ignored him completely. A few looked annoyed that a human proposal had taken time from more important matters. The council moved on without pause. Hannah leaned slightly forward. They did not even review the data, she said quietly. Day nodded once. They never do. Another species took the podium. This one was wide and low, with layers of skin that rippled as it spoke. Its topic was trade tariffs between 2 core worlds. The debate was detailed, emotional, and long. No one questioned the importance of it. Day listened anyway. He always listened. He remembered the first time humanity had been invited to the council. It had been a moment of celebration on Earth, a sign that humans were no longer alone, that they had been accepted into something greater. What had not been said was that acceptance did not mean trust. Hannah shifted in her seat. Energy consumption on the Western Arc just spiked, she said. Their systems compensate by slowing translation accuracy. Day did not look surprised. Can you adjust our feed? Yes, Hannah said, but they will notice. They always notice when we improve something, Day replied. Do it anyway. Hannah made a small motion with her hand. The human console synced with the chamber in a way the original designers had never intended. For a brief moment, several delegates turned their heads as their displays sharpened. No one said thank you. Across the chamber, Sora stood near the security boundary. Her role was unofficial, but well understood. She was there to observe reactions, patterns, and behavior. She watched how long it took for speakers to be acknowledged, who interrupted whom, and whose words were never questioned. She'd already learned one thing clearly. Humans were allowed to speak, but not to lead. The session continued for hours. Day spoke twice more, each time offering measured input, each time being politely dismissed. He did not raise his voice. He did not show anger. He knew anger would be used as proof of immaturity. When the council finally recessed, the chamber lights dimmed slightly. Delegates began to leave, surrounded by attendants and guards. Some passed near the human seat without looking. One paused. It was a delegate from a mid-tier species, one that had joined the council only a few centuries before humanity. Its eyes were narrow and thoughtful. You speak carefully, the delegate said. Day inclined his head. Care is necessary here. The delegate hesitated. Your people move quickly. Too quickly, some say. Day allowed a faint smile. We learn that waiting does not stop danger. The delegate made a sound that might have been a laugh. You will learn patience. Perhaps, Day said. Or perhaps patience will learn us. The delegate left without replying. Hannah stood and joined Day. They think speed is a flaw, she said. They think history only moves at their pace. Day replied. They walked toward the exit corridor assigned to newer members. The corridor was narrower than the central halls, with fewer lights and older interfaces. Hannah brushed her fingers along the wall and felt uneven texture beneath the metal skin. Layered repairs, she said. They never replace. Only patch. That is how empires grow old, Day said. As they moved, Day's thoughts drifted. Humanity had changed quickly after discovering faster-than-light travel. Faster still, after first contact, old divisions had not vanished, but they had learned cooperation through necessity. Survival had forced them to adapt. The Council had never faced extinction. That was the difference. In a quiet observation room overlooking the chamber, Yuna watched the remaining delegates disperse. She was a scientist, not a diplomat, and the Council had little interest in her work. Still, she had been allowed access as part of the human delegation. Her displays showed predictive models of galactic movement, resource strain, and energy anomalies. Patterns formed where others saw noise. She frowned. Several projections overlapped in ways that made her uneasy. She saved the data and tagged it for review. Myra waited near the docking schedules. Her attention divided between fleet reports and Council traffic. Human ships were spread thin, assisting colonies that were technically not under human protection. Each mission required permission, paperwork, and delay. Delay cost lives. She closed her display with a sharp motion. They will never act first, she muttered. Sora joined her. They do not believe in first action, she said. Only response. Response comes too late, Mira replied. Sora did not argue. Back in their assigned quarters, human delegates gathered in a small room. The space was functional, plain, and temporary. A clear reminder that humanity was a guest. Day stood at the center. Today was expected, he said. Still disappointing? They are afraid, Hannah said. Not of us. Of change. Change threatens comfort, Yuna added. And comfort breeds denial. Day listened to them all. He valued their words because they spoke from different angles, yet pointed to the same truth. We will continue as we have, he said. We observe. We prepare. We assist where we can, and when they block us. Mira asked. Day met her eyes. Then we find another path. The others nodded. None of them expected praise. None of them expected support. They had learned to rely on each other. Outside the Council station, stars stretched across the void. Human ships moved among them, small but efficient. Their paths precise and purposeful. The Council saw only a young species, impatient and untested. They did not see what humanity had already learned, that survival did not wait for. Permission, that systems which refused to change would eventually be left behind, and that one day, the outer seat would no longer be occupied, not because humanity was cast out, but because it chose to stand elsewhere. The warning did not begin with alarms or flashing lights. It began with numbers that did not fit. Yuna noticed it first. She sat alone in the human analysis room, quiet space filled with soft light and steady hums. Lines of data moved across her screen in calm patterns. Most of the information came from public sensors, trade beacons, and shared Council data. Nothing secret. Nothing dramatic, yet something was wrong. Several deep space readings showed small distortions. They were easy to ignore. They could be blamed on old instruments or background radiation. The Council systems often filtered such things out automatically. Yuna did not. She slowed the data and overlaid human long-range scans. The distortions formed a loose shape, not random, not natural. Her fingers paused above the console. This is movement, she said softly. She ran the model again, then again. Each time the pattern grew clearer. Something was entering the galaxy from beyond mapped space. Not fast, but steady. Not large yet, but spreading. YUNA sent the file to Sora and tagged it as urgent. Sora received it minutes later. She stood near the security boundary again, watching delegates arrive for another council session. Her face remained calm as she reviewed the data through her implant. She did not like what she saw. Sora forwarded the file to Day with a short message. We should speak. Now Day was already on his way to the chamber. He stopped in the corridor and opened the data. He did not need technical knowledge to understand the meaning. Unknown. Movement. Unclaimed space. No. Response to probes. He closed the file and changed direction. The human delegation gathered quickly. Hannah joined them with her own displays active. Mira connected from a fleet station. The room felt smaller than before. Una spoke first. This is not a natural event, she said. It behaves with intent. Slow, but deliberate. Could it be a new species? Hannah asked. Possibly, Una said. But its energy use does not match known life patterns. Can it threaten settled systems? Yes, Una answered. Not today. Not tomorrow. But soon enough, Day listened in silence. When Una finished, he nodded once. We bring this to the council, he said. Sora's expression tightened. They will delay. I know, Day replied. But we try. The council session was already underway when Day requested the floor. The request waited in queue behind ceremonial matters and trade disputes. Minutes passed, then more. Finally, the chamber acknowledged him. Ambassador Day of Humanity, the system announced. Day stepped forward. His voice was steady and clear. Humanity has detected a developing threat beyond our shared borders, he said. We request immediate review and joint preparation. Murmurs spread across the chamber. Some delegates leaned closer to their displays. Others showed visible annoyance. A senior delegate spoke. Defined threat. Day gestured, and Una's data appeared above the central space. Simple visuals. Clear paths. No emotion. This movement is entering council space, Day said. Its behavior suggests expansion. We recommend early containment and coordinated defense. A pause followed. Then another delegate laughed. Human imagination remains impressive, it said. You see patterns where none exist. Una's jaw tightened. Another voice joined. Even if this were true, council protocol requires confirmation by 3 independent elder networks. That process will take years, Day said. Then we will know more, delegate replied. Sora watched faces across the chamber. She saw fear hidden behind calm tones. Fear of acting too soon. Fear of change? A third delegate spoke. Human history is filled with conflict. Perhaps this colors your interpretation. Day did not respond immediately. When he did, his words were careful. Our history is filled with survival, he said. That is why we recognize danger early. The council chair signaled an end to the discussion. The matter will be reviewed in a future cycle, it declared. Just like that. The warning was set aside. Hannah exhaled slowly. They are choosing ignorance. They are choosing comfort, Una said. Day turned away from the chamber. We have done our duty. Outside, Mira watched the session feed end. She clenched her fist once, then relaxed it. What now? She asked. We prepare, Day replied. Human ships began quiet repositioning within days. Officially, it was routine patrol adjustment. In truth, it was preparation Sora oversaw information gathering. She noted that several non-human observers had requested access to human data after the council session. Quiet interest. Quiet concern. Una refined her models. Each update made the threat clearer. It was not a single force, but many smaller ones moving together. A slow wave. Hannah reviewed council infrastructure. If this reaches core systems, she said, their networks will collapse under load. No one doubted her. Day submitted a second report to the council, then a third. Each was acknowledged. None were acted upon. During one session, a delegate spoke to him privately. "You push too hard," it said. "You risk isolation." Day met its gaze. "We risk extinction if we do nothing." The delegate had no answer. Weeks passed. The distortions grew larger. Frontier sensors failed without clear cause. Minor outposts went silent. Human ships responded first. Myra directed evacuations, where possible. Sora coordinated threat analysis. Hannah adjusted systems on the fly to handle unknown energy patterns. They did not wait for permission. When Day informed the Council of the lost outposts, the chamber reacted with shock. "How could this happen?" one delegate demanded. Day kept his voice level. "Because you chose to wait." Silence followed. Emergency committees were formed. Discussions began. Still, no unified action was taken. Human crews worked without pause. They rescued survivors from shattered stations. They recorded data. They adapted. Other species watched. Some began to ask quiet questions. Why were human ships always first? Why did their systems not fail? Why did they act without orders? Day stood once more in the council chamber. Looking at the empty space where his warning had been, ignored, he felt no anger, only clarity. Humanity had spoken. The council had chosen not to listen, and the cost of that choice was beginning to show. The frontier system did not fall in a single moment. It broke apart slowly, like ice under steady pressure. The first sign was silence. A mining relay near the edge of council space stopped responding. At first, it was marked as a routine failure. Power outages happened often in distant systems. Repairs were scheduled for the next cycle. Then a transport ship vanished. Its last signal showed no distress, no warning. One moment it was moving along a stable route. The next, it was gone. Yuna stared at the empty line on her screen. "This matches the model," she said quietly. Mira received the report at the same time. She was already awake, already working. She pulled up fleet positions and swore under her breath. "They are too close," she said. "And we are too far. No emergency vote. Just action." The frontier system was home to several species. Small colonies, research stations, trade hubs, none of them were prepared for what came. When the first human ship arrived, it found debris. Metal twisted into shapes that did not make sense. Stations split open as if pulled apart from the inside. Energy readings that spiked and vanished too fast to track. The threat did not look like a fleet. It looked like absence. Mira watched the live feed with tight focus. "Begin evacuation," she ordered. "Take anyone you can." Others were already gone. SOAR coordinated information flow. Her voice calm even as reports grew worse. "Multiple life signs detected," she said. "Weak, scattered." "Get them out," Mira replied. Human crews worked without pause. They boarded damaged stations, pulled survivors from wreckage, and sealed breaches with portable fields. They did not ask what species the survivors were. They did not wait for clearance. The threat moved slowly, but it covered everything it touched. YUNA watched updated scans stream in. "It is learning," she said. "Each contact changes its behavior." Hana joined the feed from the engineering deck of a rescue ship. "Council tech cannot adapt fast enough," she said. "Their systems lock into fixed responses. Human systems did not. They rewrote protocols in real time. They adjusted shields, rerouted power, and accepted losses to save lives." Hours later, the council finally reacted. An emergency session was called. The chamber was filled beyond capacity. Delegates spoke over one another. Fear cracked through controlled voices. "What is happening?" One demanded. "This was not predicted," said another. Day stood among them, listening. When he spoke, the room quieted. "This is the threat we warned you about," he said. "It has reached populated space." A senior delegate turned toward him. "Why were we not informed sooner?" Day felt something tighten in his chest. We were, he said. Silence fell. Data filled the chamber. Images of destruction. Lost numbers climbing committees were formed within minutes. Subcommittees followed. Requests for review, for confirmation, for procedure. Outside the chamber, people were dying. Myra slammed her fist into the console. They are still talking, she said. I said nothing. She was watching the faces of non-human officers assisting human crews. Shock, respect, confusion. One of them spoke quietly. Your people act without orders. We act because time matters, Sora replied as the crisis deepened. The council made a decision. Human fleets would be assigned evacuation. Duty not command, not strategy, just cleanup. They want us to fix it without giving us authority, Hannah said. Day nodded. So be it. Human ships doubled their efforts. They escorted civilian convoys through unstable space. They formed moving barriers between the threat and fleeing. Populations, losses mounted. Not only human, entire colonies vanished before help arrived. When the first Council Defense Fleet finally entered the system, it was too late. Their ships moved in rigid formations. Their weapons fired on fixed cycles. The threat flowed around them. Human captains adapted. They broke formation. They sacrificed spacing for speed. They pulled council ships out of danger when their systems froze. Mira watched one. Council cruiser lose power mid-engagement. Redirect, she ordered. Cover them. But that leaves us exposed, an officer said. Do it, Mira replied. The human ship took heavy damage. They survived. The council cruiser did not thank them. Back in the chamber, blame began to spread. This disaster was caused by human panic. One delegate claimed. They moved without approval, said another. Day stood again. Human ships saved over 2 million lives in the last 12 hours, he said. Without authorization? Without support, delegates scoffed. And how many were lost? Day's voice hardened. Fewer than if we had waited. The chamber fell quiet, but not in agreement. The frontier system was declared lost. Trade routes were closed. Borders were pulled. Inward. Human ships continued operating beyond the declared lines. Mira looked at the updated maps. They are retreating, she said. Not stopping it. Just pulling back. Yuna shook her head. That will not work. It will follow. Hannah sent a private message today. They are choosing survival of power, not survival of people. Day read it and closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, his decision was clear. Humanity would not stop. They would hold the line as long as they could. Days pass. The council issued statements of concern and unity. Human crews buried the dead. More species began sending quiet requests for help directly to human command. Bypassing the council, Sora tracked them all. They trust us, she said. Trust is built by action, Day replied. The cost was heavy. Human ships were damaged. Crews were exhausted. Resources ran low. Still, they held at the edge of the broken system. The threat slowed. It met resistance it had not expected. Why? UNA studied the change. It is reacting to pressure, she said. We can influence it. But not alone. Mira said. Day looked at the dark space beyond the viewport. We tried to warn them. He said softly. Now humanity was paying the price of patience, and the council was watching. Unsure whether to be grateful or afraid, the fighting slowed. But the danger did not pass. Human ships held position near the broken frontier system, forming a loose barrier. The threat pressed against it like a dark tide, testing, probing, learning. Every hour, it changed its approach. Every hour, the humans adapted. The council fleets pulled back. Official orders spoke of regrouping in defensive core worlds. In truth, it was retreat. Mira watched the withdrawal markers appear on her tactical display. One by one, symbols representing council ships turned away. They are leaving, she said. Sora stood beside her. They call it strategic realignment. Mira let out a short breath. Names do not change results. Human command channels filled with reports. Ammunition levels dropping. Crews pushing beyond safe limits. Engineers sleeping beside open consoles. Hannah reviewed damage logs with quiet focus. "We can hold," she said. "But not forever." Day listened to all of it from the delegation quarters. The room felt smaller than ever. Outside the viewport, stars drifted past in slow silence. "They will not commit," Una said. "The Council fears loss of control more than loss of territory."
Ow.
Day nodded. "And we cannot force them." A long silence followed. Then Day spoke again. "Which means we must decide how far we go." The human delegation gathered in full. Military officers joined by secure link. Civilian leaders from Earth and other colonies appeared as calm faces on floating screens. This was not a council meeting. This was human. Day stood at the center. He did not raise his voice. "We have acted within council limits," he said. "We warned. We responded. We protected lives. Now the council is withdrawing while the threat remains." Mira crossed her arms. "If we pull back, millions will be left behind. If we stay," another officer said, "we exceed council authority." Hannah looked up from her data. "We already have." That truth settled over the room. Una spoke carefully. "This threat will not stop at borders. Retreat only delays contact. The longer we wait, the worse it becomes. And if we act alone?" A civilian leader asked. Sora answered. "Then we accept responsibility fully." Day closed his eyes for a brief moment. When he opened them, his decision was clear. "We will not abandon those who cannot escape," he said. "We will continue operations, with or without council approval." No one argued. Orders were sent. Human fleets expanded their perimeter. Aid ships were dispatched deeper into unstable space. Supply lines were stretched thin, but held through careful planning. Other species noticed. Requests began arriving. Quiet ones. A colony governor asked for evacuation help. Bypassing council command, a research outpost sent coordinates with a simple message. "Please, Mira approved them all. Route everything through human command," she said. "So, or tracked the flow. This is becoming visible," she warned. "Let it," Day replied. The council reacted within days. A formal notice arrived. At the human delegation, unauthorized expansion of military activity, violation of shared command. Protocols, request for immediate explanation. Read the message twice. Then forwarded it to the delegation. "They care more now," Hannah said, "because their authority is being ignored. They fear precedent," Una added. A council session was called. This time the chamber was tense. No polite delays. No ceremonial speeches. Day was given the floor almost immediately. "You have exceeded your mandate," the council chair said. "Your actions threaten stability." Day stood still. "Stability without safety is an illusion," he replied. "You act without permission," another delegate said. "Yes," Day answered, "because permission was withheld while lives were lost." Murmurs spread. A senior delegate leaned forward. "Do you intend to defy the council?" Day met its gaze. "We intend to protect people." The chamber erupted into argument. Some delegates demanded sanctions. Others called for restraint. A few remained silent, watching. Sora studied those silent ones. They were afraid, not of humanity, of being proven wrong. The council issued its ruling. Humanity was ordered to limit operations to approved zones. Failure to comply would result in penalties, docking, restrictions, data access limitations. Day listened without interruption. When the ruling ended, he spoke one final time. "Humanity joined the council in hope of shared responsibility," he said. "What we have seen instead is shared delay." He paused. "We will consider your ruling." That was all. Back in human command, Mira shook her head. "They expect us to stop." "We will not," Hannah said. "But there will be consequences," Una warned. Day nodded. "We knew that." Penalties came quickly. Human ships lost priority access to council gates. Supply convoys were delayed. Information feeds slowed. Hannah worked around the limits. Their systems were never built to block us completely, she said. They assume compliance. Human systems did not. Despite restrictions, operations continued. Human crews pushed deeper into threatened space. They reinforced weak colonies. They built temporary defenses from whatever materials they could find. The threat pressed. Back losses continued. So did rescues. Across council space, stories spread of human ships arriving first, of captains who stayed, until the last civilian was gone, of engineers who kept failing. Stations alive with nothing but basic tools and stubborn effort. Some council worlds began preparing their own defenses. Inspired by human methods, others waited. Day received a private message from a delegate he had spoken with before. You are changing things faster than you. No, Day replied with a single line. We are only doing what must be done. He stood alone for a moment. Looking out at the stars, humanity had crossed an invisible line, not in anger, not in pride, but in choice. They had chosen responsibility over approval, and there would be no easy return. The council chamber had never felt so quiet. Delegates filled every seat, their forms glowing, shifting, or standing in rigid stillness. The air carried a low hum of systems working harder than usual. Translation nodes flickered as if strained. By the weight of the moment, humanity's seat was occupied. For now, Day stood alone at the speaking circle. He had not asked for the floor. It had been given to him without delay. That alone told him how serious the situation had become. Sanctions had failed. Restrictions had failed. Human ships were still operating. Human fleets were still holding lines the council would not. And now, reports showed the threat slowing, changing, reacting because of humans. The council chair spoke first. Ambassador Day, your people continue unauthorized operations. Yes, Day replied. You ignore council authority. We ignore delay, Day said. Murmurs spread across the chamber. Some delegates leaned forward. Others recoiled. A senior voice cut through the noise. Your actions undermine unity. Day's gaze moved across the chamber. Unity that exists only on paper is not unity. Images appeared above the chamber floor. Evacuated colonies. Stabilized stations. Survivors gathered aboard human ships. These lives exist because we did not wait, Day said. Another delegate responded sharply. And if your actions provoke greater disaster, then we will face it, Day said. As we always have. Silence followed. The council chair shifted. Humanity was invited to this body to learn restraint. Day nodded once. And we have learned something else. He paused. That restraint without responsibility is neglect. Chamber erupted. Voices overlapped. Accusations flew. Some delegates demanded immediate removal of human privileges. Others called for negotiation. A few watched without speaking, so observed them all from the outer ring. She noted who avoided looking at the images, who focused only on procedure. Those were the ones who feared change the most. The council chair struck the signal for order. Humanity must decide, it said. Submit to council command or face full isolation. The words hung heavy. Day felt the weight of them. He thought of Earth, of colonies built from dust and hope, of ships filled with tired crews who still answered calls for help. He did not hesitate. Humanity has decided, he said. The chamber stilled. We will not be bound by systems that value authority over life, Day continued. Effective immediately, humanity withdraws from council command and jurisdiction. A shock rippled outward. Some delegates stood. Others froze. You cannot simply leave, one voice said. Day met it calmly. We already have. Behind him, the human delegation rose. Hannah stood first, shutting down her council-linked console. The display went dark. Una followed, saving her work to isolated human systems. Sora stepped back from the security boundary. Her eyes never leaving the chamber, Mira joined them via hololink, her image steady. "Human fleets acknowledge withdrawal," she said. "Operations continue." One by one. Human translation nodes powered down. Human data streams closed. The Council systems reacted immediately. Access. Denied. Docking rights suspended. Trade. Permissions revoked. The chamber lights dimmed around the human. Seat Day turned back to the Council one last time. "We did not come here to rule," he said. "We came here to protect. If that is no longer welcome, we will do so elsewhere." He stepped away. The human delegation walked out in silence. No speeches, no threats. Just footsteps fading down the outer corridor. The doors closed behind them, inside the chamber. Chaos followed. Emergency motions were proposed and rejected. Delegates argued over consequences, over optics, over blame. Some demanded immediate pursuit. Others warned of escalation. A few sat in silence, staring at the empty human seat. Outside, human ships adjusted course. Council transponders went dark as human systems switched to independent networks. Navigation paths recalculated. Supply chains rerouted. Hannah watched the transition unfold. "Clean separation," she said. "They built their systems assuming we would never leave, never imagined we would choose responsibility over membership." Una replied. Mira's voice came through, steady but strained. "Council fleets are pulling back further. They are afraid to engage without us." Sora listened to intercepted. "Traffic, panic, confusion, doubt. They are realizing what they lost." She said. Day stood on the observation deck as the Council station grew smaller behind them. He felt no triumph, only resolve. Human command reformed within hours. No titles changed. No symbols added. They did not need them. Orders were clear: protect, assist, adapt, requests. For help surged. Some came openly. Others came quietly. Routed through civilian channels or disguised as trade inquiries. Humanity answered them all. Council sanctions tightened. Gate access was restricted further. Trade penalties increased. Official statements accused humanity of destabilization. None of it stopped the work. Human engineers built temporary gates, slower, less elegant, effective, human. Fleets escorted refugees through unsafe routes. Human scientists shared data freely with any who asked. No treaties required across the galaxy. Perception shifted. Humanity was no longer a junior member of the Council. It was something else, a standard. On a distant Council world, a young delegate watched reports of human operations. Lives saved. Systems stabilized. The threat pushed back. They whispered a single thought. Maybe they were wrong. Back aboard the human flagship, Day met with his team. "We will face consequences," he said. Mira nodded. "We already are. But we will also face results," Hannah added. Una looked at her models. The threat is slowing further. It reacts to coordinated pressure. Sora folded her arms. "Others will follow our lead." Day looked at them. Pride and gravity balanced within him. "We did not abandon the galaxy," he said. "Only a council that refused to move." Beyond the viewport, human ships moved with purpose. The seat in the council chamber remained empty, and for the first time in a very long time, the galaxy began to change. Life outside the council did not slow. If anything, it moved faster. Human command adjusted within days of withdrawal. Routes once dependent on council gates were replaced with longer paths and temporary jump points. They were inefficient, sometimes risky, but they worked. Human ships filled the gaps. Mira stood at the center of Fleet Command, her eyes moving across layered displays. "We are stretched," she said, "but we are stable." "That is enough," Day replied. Aid convoys traveled constantly. Food, medical supplies, power units. Human crews no longer waited for approval or signatures. A request was enough. Sora tracked incoming signals. Requests are increasing, she said. From Council Space. Official. Hannah asked. Unofficial, Sora replied. Quiet. Careful. Yuna reviewed threat data. The dark movement beyond the frontier was slowing again. Not stopping, but changing. It is reacting to resistance, she said. Pressure forces it to adapt. Adaptation can fail, Hannah added. Human fleets formed mobile defense lines. Not walls, but nets. Flexible, layered, always shifting. Where the threat pressed hardest. Humans responded faster. Other species began to copy them. At first, it was small things. Independent colonies adjusted patrol routes. Engineers changed power distribution methods. Civilian pilots followed human evacuation procedures. No. Council directive ordered this. It spread on its own. Map. Research stations sent a message directly to human command. We cannot hold. Please advise. Mira responded within minutes. Hold position. Reduce power draw. Reinforce interior sections. We are on the way. They were. Human ships arrived 6 hours later. Survivors were evacuated. Data was secured. The station was abandoned, but lives were saved. No council fleet appeared. Stories spread on distant worlds. People began to say the same thing. If you want help, call the humans, the council noticed. Official statements grew sharper. Accusations of influence theft, of destabilization, of reckless leadership, behind closed channels. Fear replaced anger without human fleets. Response times doubled without human data. Threat predictions weakened. The council attempted reforms. New committees were formed. Emergency powers were debated. Authority was reshuffled. It was too slow. Hannah reviewed intercepted council updates. They are trying to change, she said, but they do not know how. They are built to preserve, Day replied. Not to adapt. A council defense line collapsed near a secondary route. Human ships were already nearby. Mira watched the feed. They are not requesting help, she said. They will, Sora replied. They did. The message came through a civilian relay, stripped of identifiers. Assistance requested. Any available units? Myra authorized immediate response. Human ships moved in fast. They broke formation rules. The council still followed. They pulled damaged ships free. They closed the gap. The line held. Afterward. No thanks were sent. No accusations either. Silence. YUNA studied the aftermath. The threat avoided direct contact after we arrived, she said. It is learning restraint, or caution, Hannah said. Weeks passed. Human systems grew stronger. Not larger, but smarter. Logistics optimized. Crews rotated efficiently. AI systems adapted without waiting for approval. Losses continued. But at a slower rate, lives saved increased. Day received reports daily. He read each one. Names, numbers, outcomes. He never stopped on a distant world. A council governor stood before a quiet room. We cannot wait, the governor said. Prepare defenses using human methods. No vote was taken. Action followed. The threat reached another frontier region. This time, the response was different. Human ships arrived first. Local defenses were already adapting. Civilian evacuations were already underway. The threat slowed sooner. Yuna smiled for the first time in days. This is working, she said. It always was, Mira replied. It just needed action. Sora watched a new pattern emerge. Other species are coordinating without the council, she said. Small groups. Shared data. Mutual aid. Network, Hannah said. Yes, Sora agreed. And we are at the center. They considered that. We did not seek that role. But you earned it, Myra said. The council chamber remained active but quieter. Debates grew shorter. Attendance dropped. Decisions mattered less. The empty human seat was never reassigned. Some delegates avoided looking at it. Others stared. as if expecting someone to return. A council. Inquiry requested a formal meeting with Human Command. Day declined. "We will share data," he replied. "We will share aid. We will not submit." A reply came hours later, acknowledged. Nothing more. The threat reached a point of resistance it could not easily pass. It pressed. It tested. It failed. Una confirmed the readings. "Its expansion has stalled," she said. "Not ended, but slowed enough to manage. And if it adapts again?" Mira asked. "Then we adapt faster," Hannah said. "Human crews trained others openly. No loyalty demanded. No contracts signed, just knowledge shared. On a small colony world, a child watched a human ship land." "They came again," the child said. "Yes," an elder replied. "They always do." Day stood alone on the observation deck one evening, watching fleets move across the stars. Humanity had not replaced the council. It had made it unnecessary. Responsibility had found a new path, not through authority, but through action and across the galaxy. That truth was spreading. The galaxy did not return to what it had been before. It could not. Too much had changed. Too many systems had learned to act without waiting. The threat beyond the frontier did not vanish. It remained, pressed back, slowed, contained. It tested borders from time to time. But each attempt met prepared resistance, not from a single power, from many human command. No longer felt like an emergency center. It had become something calmer, more balanced. Ships rotated through service and rest. Colonies grew stronger instead of thinner. Mira walked through Fleet Command one morning, hands behind her back. The room was quiet, focused. No panic, no raised voices. Status? She asked. "Stable," an officer replied. "All lines holding. To aid convoys completed overnight." Amira nodded. Good. She remembered the early days when every hour felt like it might break them. Now, the work continued without drama. That was success. Una stood in a research bay, watching models shift on a wide display. The threat patterns had changed again. But this time, the changes were small. "It cannot grow the way it once did," she said. Hannah leaned against a console. "Because we forced it to adapt faster than it could, because others learned," Una added. Human methods were no longer human alone. Defense networks spanned multiple species. Data flowed freely between worlds that had never shared before. No council approved it. No charter bound it. It existed because it worked. Sora reviewed intelligence updates in a quiet room. She noted a familiar pattern. Council activity had declined further. Sessions were shorter. Attendance was uneven. Decisions were often ignored by those who had learned to act for themselves. The council still existed, but it no longer defined the galaxy. On the council station, chamber remained unchanged. The same ancient walls, the same floating lights, and the same empty seat. No one sat there. No plaque explained why. New delegates sometimes asked about it. An older member would answer quietly that was humanity's seat, and why is it empty? The answer varied. Some said humanity left. Others said humanity moved on. A few said the council failed. Day had not returned to the chamber since the day he walked out. He did not miss it. Now retired from formal command, he lived on a small station overlooking a comm system. Ships passed through often, stopping to resupply or rest. They always sent updates. He read them all. One evening, he stood by a viewport as a convoy departed. Mixed ships. Different designs. Different origins, all moving together. A visitor joined him. "You changed the galaxy," the visitor said. Day shook his head. "No, the galaxy changed itself. We just refused to stand still." The visitor was silent for a moment. "The council is trying to reform," they said. Day smiled faintly. "I hope they succeed. Will humanity return?" Day looked out at the stars. "We never left the galaxy. Humanity continued to assist without demand. Aid fleets responded to disasters. Defense groups trained new worlds. No flags were raised. No. Territory claimed. Trust did the work that authority never could. Children on distant worlds learned a simple lesson. If danger comes, prepare if others suffer. Help, do not wait. The threat tested the borders one last time, years later. A strong push, a coordinated strike, it failed. Resistance came from everywhere. Human ships were there, so were many others after that. The threat pulled back further than ever before. Una confirmed it with quiet satisfaction. It has reached its limit, she said. Everything does. Hannah replied. The council issued a statement recognizing the independent network that now protected. Most of known space, it did not name humanity. It did not need to, across the galaxy. People already knew. The empty seat remained. It was not filled. It was not removed. It stood as a reminder, not of absence, but of choice. Humanity had not abandoned the galaxy. It had abandoned the idea that permission was required to do what was right. And because of that, the galaxy endured.